Well, this is some test match we're witnessing at Trent Bridge. If just tells you if the weather stays clear, then this is quite the contest we're witnessing. 3 for 116 in that middle session on day four. Joe Root still batting. That's something that would delight England fans. And the lead now is 140. How crucial is that? Where's this test match going? What do India do to get Root's wicket? VVS Laxman will be asked those questions on ESPN Cricket for Match Day on our tea time show. Laxman, where is this test match right now? Do you think it's in the balance, or are England the happier team after that session?
Well, I still feel that it's in the balance. While England will be more than happy than at the start of the day when they were without loss and still getting almost 70 runs behind to India's lead. But having said that, I think the way the captain applied himself, even the useful contributions from Sibley, then Johnny Bairstow, and at the crease, and if they can extend this lead from 140 to probably 250, I think then India will probably feel the pressure, because the scoreboard pressure will always be there in the back of the mind of the batsman chasing in fourth innings. But having said that, it's at the balance. We know that how India can bounce back, and that's what something you will expect from the Indian bowlers post tea session.
Now, scoring rate in that session, I think, is the best we've seen in the test match. Little over 3 and over, and seeing a quick fire 20 from Dan Lawrence. What's happened to the surface, Lakshman? Has it gotten easier to bat?
Oh, it's definitely got easier to bat. It flattened out. In fact, last evening also when we were having the discussion, when Indian tailenders were batting and Jadeja was batting against quality English fast bowlers, you could see that they were at ease. Which shows that because of the use of heavy roller, because of the heat, even though it rained, but the sun is out, and the wicket has become absolutely flat, and there's not much of swing or lateral movement on offer. And it's the batsmen who are making mistakes and getting out. So I think it's an ideal batting wicket. And we also have seen that if the batsmen apply themselves, it's hard work for the bowlers to take wickets on this pitch.
Yeah, fair enough. One criticism we've heard from a number of analysts, yourself, Ian Bell, Steve Armisen, is that Joe Root tends to somehow find ways of getting out or throwing away good starts. His innings, you think, is what just could make the difference. This is a good inning from Joe Root.
Yeah, and very important innings from Joe Root. Keeping in mind the 5 Test match series, keeping in mind the kind of confidence which was exhibited by the English batsman in the first innings. And as a captain, if you set an example, he batted really well in the first innings, but was not able to convert that into 100. Now, with just 4 runs behind that milestone, I think it will give a lot of confidence to the other batsmen that our captain is in form, and usually that confidence will rub onto the other batsmen, and they also start feeling and believing in themselves. And suddenly, when the captain is amongst runs, he takes a lot more decisions which are proactive, and at the same time which can tilt the result of the match in the team's favor. So overall, I think it's a very important knock. And if he can add another 50, 60 runs to his individual tally and get to 140, 150, he knows that England will be in a formidable situation, and then they can dictate terms on the fifth day.
He's got 12 innings after that double 100 in the first test in Chennai without getting 100. He's had starts since. So this is his best chance to get a 21st test 100 for Joe Root. What about India's bowlers now, Lakshman? When these sorts of situations where we tend to feel like, oh, could we have had our premier spinner in R. Ashwin? And that, of course, is no disrespect to Ravindra Jadeja, who's had a big impact on this game. Shardul Thakur seems to have an impact on this game. But what do you make of the options India have right now? Are they missing an Ashwin?
I think all the bowlers have really toiled hard. I think as we mentioned, there was not much purchase from the wicket, but I think they were very immaculate with the line and lengths. They've executed their plans. They were also very patient. It was not that they were leaking runs on both sides of the wicket. They bowled to a plan, and I think that is something which is required when you're bowling on placid wickets or in a game scenario where there's not much of help for the bowlers. And I think, to answer your question, I definitely feel and I felt right from the word go that the experience and the skill set of Ravichandran Ashwin will be missed by India in this test match. I can understand the reasoning behind choosing Shardul Thakur. I got to know that the conditions were going to be very similar to what it was in the World Test Championship final, where there was so much rain, overcast conditions, and there Virat Kohli missed the services of the fourth medium pacer. And probably keeping in mind the forecast, they've gone with this bowling attack. But I think Ravichandran Ashwin is experienced enough, and for someone who has taken 400 plus test match wickets and played all over the world, and the kind of confidence he has, I think in any surface, in any situation, he can be penetrative, and that's what we've seen from Ravichandran Ashwin in the last 2 years. So I definitely feel that this is not a good balanced attack. You want to have Ravichandran Ashwin instead of the fourth seamer because Shardul Thakur has just bowled 8 overs, and I think he's done well in the opportunity he got. But you want to have that balance, you want to have that variety in your bowling attack. And for me, it's not between Ravichandran Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja. Ravindra Jadeja is an automatic choice as an all-rounder who can give valuable contribution with the bat and also with the ball. But it is between the fourth seamer and Ravichandran Ashwin. And I would always go for Ravichandran Ashwin ahead of any seamer, keeping in mind the experience he has got and the skill set he has got.
Yeah, fair point. And you'd think that even on a batting front, if that at all was the concern between Shardul and Ashwin, that pretty leveled it out for a Virat Kohli. So
yeah, I think
fair
Ravnak,
point.
it was nothing to do with batting. It was more about, as I told before, it was more to do with the option Virat Kohli wanted between a medium pacer or a spinner. And I think he's gone with that medium pace option just to bolster his medium pacers, and just give himself the best opportunity to put pressure on the English batsmen, especially when there is overcast condition or when there is rain.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair point. We saw during the World Test Championship that he couldn't go to his spinners even though he had them because of the
Yeah.
conditions. And that's when the three seamers seemed a bit light in Southampton. So fair point. Now, 140 is the lead. At what point do India start getting worried? We're almost remembering 2018, Laxman, the first test. They were set 194 and they fell 31 short. At what point do you think India need to ensure this innings ends to give them a realistic chance of winning this test match?
I think anything above 200, 225 will be a challenge, because we've seen even in the first innings, everything seemed nice and easy till the time Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul were having that opening partnership. And suddenly, Jimmy Anderson with that magical spell turned around things post lunch yesterday. So I think anything above 225 will be a challenge. As I mentioned, there will be scoreboard pressure on the batsmen, and the way they batted in the first innings, they will be a little bit doubtful and worried. I wouldn't say worried because this Indian team is not worried about any challenges they're going to confront. But it's going to be a tough task to chase anything above 225. I think some of the set batsmen have to convert those starts into a big score if they have to chase down anything above 225.
Now, we saw one ball, I think, that from Ravindra Jadeja that turned. There was a puff of dust as well. So we are 80 or 70 overs into this innings. The new ball is due in 10. Would you take it? Would you go with Jadeja? What should be Virat Kohli's ideal plan of attack in this last session?
Yeah, I think he will take the new ball, because all said and done, whether the Duke's new ball swings or not, the hardness of the ball will help the fast bowlers, and that too of the quality of Shami, Bumrah, and also Siraj look really good today. So I think it's about time to take the new ball whenever it's offered and another 10 overs. But also it's important to have a field setting which doesn't leak runs, because you have catches where you think that there is a wicket-taking opportunity, but also you have to safeguard runs because sometimes when you take new ball and if you're over-attacking, then a lot of boundaries can be scored by the batsman. So that is something which I'm sure Virat Kohli will be mindful of. And I think it's important to back your strength. And the strength of this Indian team has been their bowling lineup over the last 2.5 years. And it's just a matter of a couple of wickets because we know that Sam Curran can also bat. But after that, I think India will back themselves to get the other England batsmen out cheaply.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, one thing I forgot to bring up on our lunchtime show, a wicket fell in this one as well, this session. It was an excellent catch of Rishabh Pant that makes it 2 in this innings, and pretty solid, sound effort from Pant, the keeper. How impressed have you been by Pant's keeping, Laxman?
Very impressed, and I think a lot of credit should be given to R. Sridhar, the fielding coach, and also Wriddhiman Saha, because I think there was a drastic change in Rishabh Pant's keeping right from the Chennai Test match. The Chennai Test match against England, because I was a little skeptical because if there was one thing which Rishabh Pant required to improve, that was his wicket keeping. It was not so much with his batting because he always had abundance of talent and potential, but his keeping, especially his technique, was not ideal. But the way he has worked hard on his keeping, and the reason I talk about Sridhar and Wriddhiman Saha is both of them spent a lot of time with Rishabh Pant, making him do various drills. And now if you see, he's so balanced behind the stumps, and that's why even though the ball was deviating so much, he was able to move and then dive and take that catch, which shows that he's been working hard on his movement, because keeping like batting is all about moving, being very nimble on your feet. And Rishabh Pant has done that. It's purely because of a lot of drills, a lot of practice, and the more you practice meaningfully, the more results will come your way. And that's exactly what Rishabh Pant has done.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just those catches. He's taken some great takes as well when
Yeah.
we've seen the ball fly. So excellent for Rishabh Pant. You think he'll have a role to play at the bat as well if these runs keep going? Thank you very much, VVS Lakshman. This is a fascinating situation where the game is on. Let's pick up the chat with Lakshman as well as Ian Bell will be back with us on ESPN Cricket for Match Day for our Stumps show. Keep an eye out, of course, on the weather because the forecast isn't great. But so far, the rain has not been badly behaved in Trent Bridge. We'll be back for our Stumps show to see where this game is headed.